Imagine, just for a moment, a person condemned to death, sitting in a dark, quiet cell. They are counting every single agonizing second of their final night. The dripping of water, the echo of footsteps down the hall, every single sound just magnifies that ticking clock. To them, that one single night stretches into a vast, unyielding eternity. Now flip the script. Imagine a child, absolutely buzzing with excitement, eagerly waiting for the morning of a holiday. That night feels like an impenetrable barrier that is literally never going to end. But then picture an elderly person sitting quietly by a window. They're looking back at an entire lifetime of memories, and they're wondering, with this quiet sense of shock, how the whole shebang went by so incredibly fast. You see, we are all born into time. We fall in love in time, we make our absolute worst mistakes in time, and eventually we just become fading memories within time. It is existence's most intimate, inescapable, and honestly terrifying mystery. So in this explainer, we're going to step outside the calendar. We're going to step entirely outside the clock, and we're going to hunt down the true identity of time itself.
Let's talk about how weird our experience of time actually is. Think about spending 5 hours sitting next to the person you love most in the world. It feels like a fleeting, breathless instant, right? The sun sets, the evening turns into night, the conversation just flows, and you barely even notice the hours slipping right through your fingers. But take those exact same 5 hours and spend them sitting in a cold, sterile hospital waiting room, terrified because you're waiting for a sudden diagnosis. The quiet hum of those fluorescent lights feels absolutely deafening. The clock on the wall practically stops moving. Mathematically, the duration is identical. It's exactly 300 minutes, 18,000 seconds. Yet the human experience of those two scenarios is entirely, profoundly different. The mechanical clock on the wall hasn't changed a bit, but our conscious reality shifts dramatically. We really have to ask ourselves, in those extreme moments, what is actually changing? Is the universe itself slowing down, or are we? And that brings us to the central detective mystery of our story today. If the exact same hour can feel like a fleeting storm passing by in a flash, or an eternal, grueling punishment, we are forced to ask a deeply unsettling question. Does time actually exist out there in the cold vacuum of the universe? Or is this invisible force, this relentless thing we literally cannot touch, cannot taste, and cannot hold, merely an illusion? Could it be a total fabrication, an experience entirely constructed inside the dark, enclosed theater of our own brains? Because think about it. If time is a real, physical property of the universe, and if it actually has a birth, which modern physicists suggest it does, then logically, we're marching toward an even more terrifying realization. If it's born, it must also have a death.
To figure this out, we have to realize that humanity has fallen into a massive collective trap. Since childhood, we've been conditioned to think of time as that bold red date on a calendar, or the super stressful deadline for a project, or the piercing shriek of the alarm waking us up for work when it's still dark outside. But a clock is merely a measurement tool. Think about it like this. A glass thermometer measures your fever, but it isn't the fever itself, right? In the same way, a clock measures time, but it isn't time. We have completely confused our manufactured tool for the fundamental reality of the universe, and by doing that, we've locked ourselves inside an invisible cage of societal expectations. We are constantly telling people they're late in life, late to graduate, late to marry, late to find their purpose. But nature itself, nature has no concept of what late is. An oak tree doesn't bloom late. A winding river doesn't arrive late to the ocean. We're literally cracking under the immense pressure of a human-made illusion.
Let's push this mystery even further with a profound and, frankly, kind of haunting thought experiment. Picture a completely static, perfectly sealed room. The dim lighting in there never shifts by even a fraction of a lumen. There is absolute deafening silence. Not a single breath of wind moves the dust. There's no human consciousness inside to observe anything. No chemical reactions are taking place, and not a single microscopic atom vibrates. Absolutely nothing changes. Does time still flow inside that perfectly still room? Well, the logical, slightly eerie answer is no. Without a sequence of physical events, without a discernible before and an after, the very concept of time simply evaporates into nothingness. You can't capture time as an independent floating object in the room. It only exists as the sequence of events unfolding.
Let this sink in for a second. You have never actually seen time. I know, it sounds crazy, but think about it. You've seen the golden sun rise over the horizon and watched the shadow slowly stretch across the grass. You've watched a child's teeth grow in, you've witnessed a beautiful red rose wither and drop its petals, and you've seen a freshly built house slowly weather, age, and decay under the rain. But you aren't seeing time there. You are witnessing the inescapable march of change.
Time's true birth isn't found inside the tiny gears of a ticking wristwatch. It's birthed entirely through our observation of a shifting reality. We only recognize time through the decaying and growing body of change all around us. If nothing in the universe ever changed, time would have no grand stage upon which to walk.
And our physical brains, they definitely don't process time in objective, robotic seconds. When you're terrified, maybe you're walking down a dark alley late at night or waiting for a car to crash, your brain shifts into this primal state of high alert. It desperately begins recording every tiny sound, every micro movement, every shift in the shadows. Because it's recording so much data, the event feels agonizingly slow and endlessly long. But when you're in a profound state of flow, say you're deeply focused on writing a novel, painting, praying, or just gazing into the eyes of someone you love, time completely vanishes. You become entirely one with the moment. The external world keeps its rigid, ticking rhythm, but your internal universe simply stops keeping track. The most intense, dramatic experiences of time don't happen out there in the distant cosmos. They happen right here, quietly, right between your ears.
Now, for centuries, humanity rested super comfortably in Isaac Newton's vision of an absolute universe. The prevailing belief was that there was this one giant, invisible cosmic clock, just a grand, unyielding metronome ticking at the exact same rhythm for everyone, everywhere, from the foggy streets of London to the furthest galaxies. But then, a young patent clerk named Albert Einstein walked onto the stage of history and completely shattered that throne. He revealed a mind-bending truth. Space and time are permanently entangled. They aren't separate entities floating out in the void. They are intimately woven together into a single, flexible fabric called space-time. To accurately describe an event in the universe, you can't just say where it happened in 3 dimensions. You absolutely must include the 4th dimension, when. Time isn't a fixed, rigid stage. It is flexible, bendable, and deeply, entirely personal.
So time is inherently relative. And listen, this isn't just some abstract sci-fi philosophy, it's the fundamental architecture of our reality. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. And the closer you get to a massive, crushing source of gravity, the slower your physical clock ticks. This is a rigorously tested, undeniable engineering fact. The GPS satellites silently orbiting our planet right now, high above the Earth's gravitational pull and moving at incredible speeds, literally experience the flow of time slightly differently than we do down here on the surface. If aerospace engineers didn't actively, mathematically correct for Einstein's relativistic time difference every single day, the navigation maps on your smartphone would become wildly inaccurate within a matter of hours. The universe fundamentally disagrees on what time it is. To truly grasp the profound emotional devastation of this physics, we have to look at the famous twin paradox. Imagine 2 identical twin brothers standing together on a launch pad. One stays right here on Earth, while the other says a tearful goodbye and boards a specialized spaceship capable of traveling near the speed of light. He journeys across the cosmos, marveling at nebulas and distant stars, for what feels to his body and mind like just a few short years. But when his ship finally lands back on Earth, he steps out of the airlock as a vibrant, energetic young man, only to stare into the aged, weathered eyes of his twin brother, who is now a frail old man nearing the very end of his life. They existed in the exact same universe, but they absolutely did not exist in the same time. Time is a personal river, and its current depends entirely on how fast you swim.
So, if time is this flexible, bendable river, naturally we're driven to trace it all the way back to its ultimate source, right? When exactly did this river start flowing? According to our most advanced scientific understanding, the history of our observable universe sprang into existence roughly 13.8 billion years ago with the event we call the Big Bang. But people so often misunderstand this monumental event, they picture a giant fiery bomb exploding outward inside an endless, empty, pre-existing dark room. They imagine a void just waiting to be filled up. But that paints an entirely wrong picture of reality.
You see, the Big Bang was not an explosion in space. It was the sudden, violent, unimaginable expansion of space and time itself. There was no empty room for it to expand into because the room didn't exist yet. So people naturally ask the ultimate mystery question, well, what happened before the Big Bang? But asking what happened before time existed is a fundamental trap of human language. It's exactly like walking across the frozen ice to the North Pole, standing directly on top of it, and asking someone to point north. You simply cannot. You've reached the absolute physical boundary of the concept. Without time already flowing, the words before and after lose all meaning. There was no before. Reality simply was.
As we zoom in on that very first fiery gasp of cosmic creation, we quickly hit an impenetrable wall, 10 to the power of -43 seconds. This incomprehensibly tiny number is known as Planck time. It's the absolute smallest measurable unit of existence. To truly put this microscopic scale into perspective for you, if one single second were a vast, endless ocean covering the entire planet Earth, Planck time would be the invisible shadow of a single drop of water within it. And in this tiny fraction of a second, at the very dawn of everything, all our known laws of physics, gravity, quantum mechanics, the fabric of space-time itself, they all collapse into utter mathematical chaos. It's like a massive glowing warning sign from the universe itself, declaring that beyond this point, humanity needs an entirely new understanding of reality.
Now we arrive at another terrifying, inescapable question. Why does time only walk in one direction? Why can't we turn around? Why can't we hit rewind to go back and unsay a hurtful word, or relive a perfect summer day from our childhood? In the microscopic, invisible quantum world, many complex physics equations work perfectly fine running backward and forward. But in our macroscopic human reality, there is a strict, inescapable arrow of time. A whole egg drops from the kitchen counter, shatters on the floor, and eventually becomes a cooked omelet. But you will never ever see a cooked omelet spontaneously leap off a plate, piece its shattered shell back together, and reassemble into a perfect, uncracked egg resting softly in your hand. It just doesn't happen.
The scientific culprit behind this tragic one-way street is entropy. Entropy is the universe's natural, irreversible tendency to drag absolutely everything from a state of perfect order into a state of utter disorder and chaos. When a beautiful glass class falls off a wooden table and shatters into 1,000 tiny pieces, it is obediently following the law of entropy. You see, there are millions of chaotic ways for the universe to be messy and disordered, but only one very specific, delicate, rare way for it to be perfectly ordered. The arrow of time is permanently drawn forward because the universe is constantly, inexorably losing its order. But knowing this brings up a really haunting realization about what we are forced to leave behind in the wake of this arrow.
We constantly talk about our personal past as if it's a physical place we can just return to. We say things like, I have a happy childhood, or I have a lost love, or I have deep regrets. But stop for a second and truly think about this. Where exactly is the past? Can you journey there and breathe yesterday's morning air? Can you physically reach out and touch a quiet Tuesday afternoon from 10 years ago? No, you absolutely cannot. The past no longer exists anywhere in the physical universe. It only survives in old photographs, in physical records, in the fading, fragile architecture of human memory, and in the permanent consequences it leaves behind in the present moment.
And this leads us to the ultimate, ego-shattering twist of modern theoretical physics. What if our entire, deeply held perception of time flowing from the past to the future is just completely wrong? Enter the block universe theory. Imagine the entire universe, the ancient past, the fleeting present, and the distant future all existing simultaneously. Completely solid, like a giant, frozen block of ice or a finished published book sitting on a shelf. In this staggering theory, the dinosaurs roaming the earth, the exact moment of your birth, the very words you are hearing me say right now, and the fiery death of the sun are all equally real. They're just located at different coordinates within the block. If this is true, guys, our future is already written. The illusion of free will is totally shattered. We aren't the authors creating our destiny. We are merely characters in a novel, slowly turning the pages, falsely believing we're writing the story as we go.
This staggering realization perfectly transitions to an even deeper, more profound scientific revelation. What if time isn't the grand stage of the universe at all? What if it's merely a byproduct? Leading theories in quantum gravity actually suggest that time might be an emergent illusion. Think of the concept of temperature. A single isolated atom doesn't have a temperature, right? Temperature only emerges as a reality when billions of atoms interact, collide, and bounce off one another in a chaotic dance. Similarly, time might not exist at the absolute foundational level of reality. It might only emerge from the complex, entangled relationships and quantum observations happening all around us. Time is the smoke, not the fire. The cosmic prison we feel so terribly trapped in might just be a magnificent mirage. But here's the catch. If time is born from change, what happens to time when change finally, inevitably stops? Because every beginning guarantees an end. The most widely accepted, chilling scientific fate of our cosmos is known as the heat death. Eventually, trillions upon trillions of years from now, all energy will evenly distribute across the expanding void. Star formation will permanently cease, leaving a sky totally devoid of light. The last supermassive black holes will slowly, quietly evaporate into nothingness. The universe will become a cold, dark, perfectly still void. And in that absolute stillness,
Mirroring that static room we talked about earlier, with no physical events, no chemical change, and no conscious observers left to witness it, time itself will simply cease to exist. It will die.
Let's step away from the cold, dark void of the dying cosmos for a minute and look back at ourselves. Because to the human soul, time holds a beautiful, devastating duality. We fear time because it's the ultimate unstoppable thief. It quietly and ruthlessly steals away the vibrant, reckless energy of our youth. It takes the familiar warmth of our childhood homes, and it slowly erases the voices of the people we love most in this world. But time is also the great, patient healer. It slowly mends the deepest, most agonizing cuts of grief. It humbles our arrogant egos over decades. It exposes hidden truths we were blind to in our youth, and it gently grants us the quiet, enduring grace of wisdom. Ultimately, it's a mirror, reflecting exactly what we choose to do with it.
And this realization brings us to a profound, absolutely necessary spiritual awakening. Modern society has masterfully conditioned us to be anywhere but here. We are always running toward a distant deadline, stressing over a future that hasn't even happened yet, or agonizing over a past that no longer exists in the physical universe. But the absolute greatest tragedy of the human experience is to be physically alive while remaining mentally absent. We eat our meals without actually tasting the food. We hug our children while looking over their shoulders at our glowing phone screens. We are completely, tragically disconnected. The present moment is not just a fleeting transition. It is the only reality that actually belongs to us. It's the only door through which life can truly be touched. The only space where love, creation, and genuine peace actually exist.
So we've chased time to the absolute edge of the universe and back, only to find that it bends around black holes, emerges from microscopic quantum interactions, and might just be a grand illusion constructed by our own minds. But regardless of its complex physics, it remains the canvas of your existence. You might not be the master of time, but you are the absolute master of your current moment. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Are you truly living in time, soaking in the profound depth of this exact second? Or are you just letting time pass by, merely keeping you alive until the clock on the wall finally, inevitably stops?